All right, so we have all of our definitions. And interesting enough, Rule 9 really fundamental-wise, just the main thing is blocking. Either team, unless it's kick interference or pass interference, or personal foul, or an illegal block, either team can block. So let's start with illegal use of hands and holding. Offensive player restrictions. So failure to use a permissible blocking technique, and those are in Rule 2. We're going to talk about those in a few minutes. Interlock blocking, using your arms, hands, or legs to hold an opponent. And the runner cannot grasp a teammate. Now, he can put his hand on his back. You see that sometimes if the lineman's kind of in the way, he may put his hand on the back. You can't grasp him. You can't grab onto him. Offensive players may use their hands and arms to ward off or push any player, ward off a block during a kick, and push, pull, or ward off an opponent when a ball is loose if he may legally touch or possess the ball, unless it's pass interference, personal foul, legal use of hands, violates some of the permissible techniques. Defensive player restrictions, pretty similar. The failure to use a permissible blocking technique. They use their hands to add momentum to a teammate's charge who's on the line of scrimmage. So you cannot get behind a defensive lineman and push them. Okay. Use arms, hands or legs to hold an opponent, or contact an eligible receiver who's no longer a potential blocker. So we don't have, in high school, we don't have, 5 yards downfield, illegal contact rules for the defense. However, if a player, an offensive player, a receiver, is no longer a potential blocker, then that defensive player is not allowed to contact him. Okay? And so typically the rule of thumb that we have is when that receiver is no longer a threat to block the defensive player, then the defensive player should not contact him. So if Dennis is the defensive player and I'm running at him, then there's potential that I could be a blocker. As soon as I cut in and I'm turning away from him, now I'm not a threat to him as a blocker. He's no longer allowed to contact him. If he does, it may not be pass interference. The pass has not been thrown yet or nowhere close to me, but it could be a legal use of hands in this case, which would be a 10-yard penalty. Defensive players may use unlocked hands to ward off a blocker, push, pull, or ward off an opponent when attempting to reach a runner or a loose ball. Again, unless it's pass interference, personal foul, or use of hands. And this applies to a player stimulating possession. So there's reasonable allowance to discover deception, basically, but you're still responsible to avoid unnecessary contact. So if they run a play action pass, you're able to contact the player, the runner, or the simulator runner, up to a certain degree, but you don't have free range. So there is some judgment in there on our end. So what are the blocking techniques? So there's open and closed hand techniques. We don't really see closed hands anymore. I think it's 100% of the time it's now open hands. So hands in advance of the elbow, inside of the frame of the opponent's body. So your hands are in front, inside of a frame. At or below the shoulders, unless the opponent squats, ducks, or submarines after the block initiated, the blocker commits the block. And it needs to be inside the frame unless the opponent turns his back to the blocker, again, after the block has been initiated or the blocker commits the block. So if I'm going to block Rico, and I got my hands and I'm committed and I'm reaching in and he ducks, now I'm not, and I hit him high or hit him up around the helmet, again, I'm not responsible for that because his movement after he saw I was coming caused that. Or if he turns his back to me or his side, again, I'm not responsible for that being illegal. Again, there's some gray area in there. It's not black and white. There's some judgment in there. So you have to see the entire block, the entire play to know if it's a foul or not. So where's the frame?
I told you don't put my picture up.
Yeah.
You did.
So frame, chest, abdomen, side, okay? Excluding the back. So all of this, including my sides, is okay. But if you get me in the back, or you get me up on the deck, or below the waist, then that's illegal, or outside the frame. All right. So, that takes us to illegal blocking. Free blocking zone. So you'll hear us talk about this a lot. And this is a 8x6 area basically, or 4 sides, 4 yards to each side of the football, and 3 yards behind each line of scrimmage, around the neutral zone, where we allow blocks that are not otherwise legal in other areas of the field. Remember, there's no free blocking zone on scrimmage kicks. Think about it. You think about the requirements there, the way the ball is snapped, and we'll talk about why it goes away, that you really wouldn't have that on a scrimmage kick. So, again, this allows some additional blocking that otherwise is not permissible at other times. Huh?
Tradition have it on the scrimmage kick.
You could if they
charges you read.
Yeah, they got a lot of music.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Free blocking zone. So, what is allowed? The block below the waist. If the ball is in the zone, the block is in the zone, and all players involved on the line of scrimmage and in the zone at the snap. And we also allow a block in the back. Again, if the ball is in the zone, the block is in the zone, the offensive blocker on the line of scrimmage and is in the zone at the snap, and the blocked opponent is in the zone at the snap. So, offense or defensive linemen can block below the waist. Only offensive players can block in the back and within the free blocking zone. And again, we never allow flipping. So, blocking below the waist. So, yep.
Used to say back when clipping was allowed, that clipping was legal in the zone. But if it was the same block out of the zone, downfield somewhere, we didn't call that a clip, we call that a legal block. What's the terminology now? Since it's illegal everywhere, what's the terminology?
It's still,
Illegal block because it's below the waist.
Yeah.
yeah.
So not, I mean, is it
When
a
it's
still have
far
the
back, it's an
signal,
illegal block.
Yeah, we still have the signal for
Right,
flipping. They never
right.
took it out.
right?
There's no signal for clipping.
It's still in the book.
Still in the book.
Yeah.
Why do they?
I don't know why they didn't take it out.
Yeah.
From the back.
So it's really it's an illegal block.
That's a legal block.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Somebody reports clipping to me, I'm going to change it to the illegal block.
we
Okay.
still have the signal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So blocking below the waist. So this is when you initially contact the opponent below the waist from the front or the side. Initial contact, if your opponent's hands are below their waist, okay, and you contact their hands and you continue into their weight below the waist, and that's considered a block below the waist. This only applies when an opponent has one or both feet on the ground. So if the opponent jumps, then it's not considered a block below the waist. And again, this excludes a runner or a player simulating possession of a live or simulated runner. So this block is legal if it occurs in the free blocking zone. If it occurs outside the free blocking zone, then it's illegal. All right, so this guy, all right, so first of all, is he a back or is he a lineman? This guy right here, the back, okay? So can he block below the waist?
No. Well, yes, you can. You did it.
Yeah. So the block is in the zone. However, when that block occurs, the ball is no longer in the zone. The opponent was on the line of scrimmage. He was the defensive end, but the blocker, we've already said, was not in the zone. So this would be an illegal block below the waist. Who's going to get that? Wing. Referee sometimes, if the angle's just right. But the wing guys can get that. Yeah, so that's what so it's right there, right in this area right here. Watch.
Yeah.
Right there. So 15-yard line. So watch one of the backs. And watch what he does. I think it's the middle linebacker he gets. Wing back comes in there. Right there. So ball is not in the zone. The block was in the zone, but the opponent was not on the line of scrimmage because he was the linebacker. He was off the line of scrimmage. And the blocker was not on the line of scrimmage from the ball and the with the block. Another one. What do we think about that one? Ball's out. So he delayed. So if he had immediately, so if he immediately goes down, he would be okay on this. But he does that little two-step shuffle and then goes down, and by that point, the ball is already gone. Yeah. So he's got to go immediately down, block him away. So if he kind of shuffles and he hesitates, then the snap, the ball is already outside the zone, and you can't do that. So who can get that? Wayne, back to it. Maybe the umpire. Yeah. And why are we so concerned about these type of blocks? What's the biggest issue with these things? These are safety. This is a safety issue. So we've got to get these illegal blocks. All right. So on this one, watch here in the middle. I got a big circle. Watch these big guys in here. And we can talk about what we think about this one. Just don't watch it. Don't look at the title of the video. So, remember we talked about he's got to go down immediately. Well, that's the shotgun. This is quarterback's in the center. Let's watch this again. So we have an offensive lineman, we have a defensive lineman, so we got two requirements. We got the block is in the zone, so that's the third one. So as long as that ball is still in the zone, which it is, then that's a legal block. And that's a legal block. Okay. Now watch this, the tight end down here. Yeah. So when that block is initiated, the ball is still there. Okay. You slow it down, the ball is still there. But in real speed on the field, if we see the tight end go right down, so he's a tight end, so he's on the line. there's a lineman. The guy who blocked is on the line. The block was in the was in the zone. And again, a direct hand snap. We're gonna say that ball is still in the zone. Go ahead.
Rule of thumb is, I was under the impression that what we normally think about is that 4 yards extends from tackle to tackle.
Tackle.
Usually from tackle to tackle is what I like about.
Yeah, I mean 4 yards from the ball to the tackle.
Right. Yeah.
Outside is the tackle, outside is the tackle.
Right.
That's what we do.
And tight ends are usually, what I usually think about is being outside of that.
You mean
And their normal split is anywhere between 2 feet to 4 feet between each offensive lineman, put the tight end out of the zone.
Some of them don't line up. Put their hand up.
Yeah, now you have to look at the spacing.
The tight end will take a larger split to take the defensive out of the play.
So y'all would consider him to be outside.
I think
That's what I would generally, yeah. Okay. As umpires, that's kind of what we judge. But I guess, we don't have a tape measure, go out there and measure that thing. And what we normally look at is tackle to tackle.
Tackle to tackle. Okay. Does everybody hear that? So with the umpires, they typically say, so we've got 4 yards on either side of the ball. That goes tackle to tackle. So from the ball to the tackle, to the left tackle, and ball to the right tackle.
Again, we have to use good common sense.
Right.
If they're bunched in real close or something, then you might want to give them some allowance. But normally,
Absolutely.
right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Tight.
Right.
So on this play here, what are the odds of the umpire seeing that block?
Probably not. You should.
Yeah. So if the wing guy sees it and he throws his flag, where's the question that he has to go ask the umpire?
Is he in the zone?
Was he in the
There
zone?
you go.
So that's the conversation that has to happen. So if the wing guy drops the flag for that block, then he needs to go ask the umpire, did you consider that guy to be in the zone? And then from there we can talk about that.
That's good fishing. We got on my block.
Block it back by the umpire right there.
It's happened Thursday too in my computer. Never eats up here.
You got a demonstrator mode, I thought.
Yeah. So again, the defense is allowed reasonable allowance here to contact a simulated runner, and he must avoid Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi. That's what I'm. Let me switch my Wi-Fi on here real quick. Rico, you got Wi-Fi issue?
I'm on the high quality lead.
Yeah. No, I lost my hotspot.
Yeah, that's 425.
Yep, go ahead. Next.
Hey, Demery, you misspelled your name. I got it corrected though.
Wow.
There we go. So this again, this is one of those close ones here where watch the center snaps it. I think that's pretty. I think it's good. I mean, that's about as instantaneous as you're gonna be able to get. You know, for this guy, he didn't take a two-step shuffle. He took one step and went down. Umpires agree with that?
I agree with that.
Yeah. You can see that coming.
Yeah.
You can see that one. By the way, he was right there. And it's been,
This is legal. They do a play action. They do a fake brawl, and he comes in and he gets it, but he thinks that's well. So he's able to legally contact him. Still not a free license.
contact.
He fakes it, pulls it back. That's legal. Now the defense doesn't have free reign, obviously. So it has to be, you know, within legal contact of a hit, but that's legal. Legal or illegal? Watch at the line of scrimmage. Watch at the line of scrimmage. If I see it, if I see the block, no, at the line of scrimmage. Line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Right?
Submarine.
So, when is this player considered on the line of scrimmage?
Right there.
Within 1 yard. So, he may start. He starts back here. He's back here, so he's not within a yard. So he's off, right? But when the ball is snapped, what does he do? He keeps kind of shuffling up. So now what is he? He's a lineman at this point. He's a lineman at this point.
Is this block? Do it again. Is this
Yeah,
block immediate?
Yeah, so it's a good block. Yeah, so even though that player, when he initially lined up, he was considered off the line of scrimmage on the defense. He was in the backfield. But he kept scooting forward, ball is snapped, and now he was considered on the line of scrimmage, so now he can be blocked both ways.
So that same place, we can explain why that's not a block in the back. Because everybody's thinking that's a block in the back. I don't think it is. I'm going to show you why it's not. Look at the initial contact right there.
He's on the side.
Right. And then watch the play develop, and everybody everybody's saying it's blocking the back. That's not
Maybe a hole, but it's not a block. Yeah, yeah. So the point of this was, so when is that, like we're talking about, so this defensive player, so as he walks up, he's now considered on the line of scrimmage.
I agree, he walked up, it looked like he delayed. We think that's illegal. That ball's out of zone.
I say we go back and block him back.
What do you think, Sam? Hey, what do you think?
I would give that. It's close.
I think you would either way, you'd be all right, I think.
But if you're gonna call it, so well, it's one of those things. If the umpire's gonna call it a block below the waist, you can't call it a block below the waist because that defensive player was off the line of scrimmage when the ball was snapped. He's got to call it because there was a delay, and he's gonna say the ball's out.
The ball's out, the ball's out.
But if he comes and says it's a block below the waist because the defensive player was not on the line of scrimmage, that's not correct. So so the umpire's gonna call it. He's got to know exactly why he's calling it.
That's right.
What do you think, Bill? What do you think about that one? All right, block in the back. There's another one where there's some gray area in here. So the initial contact is in the opponent's back. So we talked about that's outside the frame, inside the shoulders and below the helmet, and above the waist. Okay. Obviously, it excludes a runner or a pretend runner. And here we have to see the entire block. And we talked about in the video a few seconds ago. You have to see the initiation of the block. Because how many times do we kind of catch the tail end of it? And you see the guy getting pushed, but how did that happen? Did he turn? Did he start contact on the side and then kind of keep going this way? So that's where we have to see the entire block. All right. This is where I get. I call it filming.
Oh, there's two.
A whole bunch of them. Now, are these PSK fouls? Are these PSK fouls? No, there's just there in the run. Never done the return. Yeah, after the kick ended, basically. All right, so focus on that receiver up at the top.
Who's gonna get that?
Ain't nobody gonna get it.
Who's that?
So the offensive player is outside the free blocking zone at the snap, and the block defensive player is outside the free blocking zone and not on the line of scrimmage at the snap. So is he allowed to block them back? Just based on that? No. Do you consider that a block in the back? And that's the question.
No.
Okay. And it's very soft. Okay. And when we want to make these obvious, I'm not sure that's what we would consider obvious.
That's not.
Sounds good.
The last slide, he said, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. He said it's not on the line of scrimmage. Snap. Defensive players that have to be on the line of scrimmage to snap for legal block. But that's only for a block below the waist.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
This is outside the block.
Yeah, he's outside the zone. Yeah, he's outside the zone. Yeah. Okay, I'll fix that. This one happened here. Again, are you gonna? You got a big lineman running downfield, and you got little guys kind of turning because they're afraid of the guy. I mean, I think that's legal. I don't consider that to be obvious, and I'm not sure that's something that we need to be calling.
Did it impact your trade?
Not really.
Kind of funny.
I mean, I give the guy credit. He's running. He's running. Yeah, like, ooh, let me kind of.
What do you got?
What do you think, man? You got a ducks in there. I mean,
He's an attacker.
No. He's running back.
I think the key is to make them obvious. So when we go back to the punt return, those are the punt return. Those were obvious.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to be looking for are the obvious ones on these sort of things.
I think it was a good one.
And that's when it happens.
Another one.
Okay. Okay.
So do you think he saw that entire block?
No.
I don't think he saw the defensive player stumbling, or the, I guess, cage player stumbling before there was any sort of contact. So again, I would not consider that to be an obvious block in the back, and I think we probably should be letting that one go.
The same one?
Yeah, same thing. We're watching it. I'm gonna watch it kind of around the 40-yard line here. He's already falling.
Did he touch you?
Honestly, I don't even know if he touched him or not, but that goes back to making sure we see the entire block and everything with it. Any comments about the block in the back videos?
On that same play, the block that was right next to what appeared to be a block in the back. I questioned whether or not it was a low block. Run one more. Check the block that's right next to him. I question whether or not it's a low block, but it's difficult to even see from here whether he touched him or not. Right there at 35. See that one?
That's when they flagged. Yeah. I don't think he touches it.
Okay.
And again, I don't think he saw the whole thing. I think he might saw the tail end of it, and he sees a guy rolling on the ground and doesn't see the whole play. All right, flipping. So this is a block against an opponent when the initial contact is behind, at, or below the waist. It excludes a runner or a pretend runner. Not allowed in the free blocking zone.
Or anywhere.
Or anywhere. So watch right in the center. And who's going to call this most of the time? That's the left guard. I'm sorry, the right guard. Right guard. Gets him right in the back of the knees.
Wasn't he already down?
No, he was shooting the gap. He was shooting the gap, and he got him right in the back of the knee. And so that, again, that's a major safety issue, and something that we've got to get in there. But that defensive lineman basically beat the offensive lineman to that spot, and that's why the foul occurred. The defensive lineman was faster than that guard shooting that gap. Drop block. So this is a combination block by two or more teammates with or without delay. Again, we're excluding runner or simulated runner. Chop blocks can only occur in the free blocking zone. If you have a chop block outside the free blocking zone, what is it? What type of illegal block? Block below the waist. A block below the waist. Yep. So blocker 1, high. Blocker 2, low. And by low, we're at or below the knees. Okay, so we've kind of dropped down a little bit. It's not the waist, it's at or below the knees. If both blocks are low, then that's legal. And if both blocks are high, that's legal. So there's only when one block is high and one block is low. And I think it doesn't matter. Huh?
Order doesn't matter.
Order doesn't matter.
Low, high.
No.
Once you got both back.
Yeah. So you hear them yell about high, low blocks or low, high blocks or whatever. But if doesn't matter which the order is, doesn't matter if there's a delay. If one is high and one's quote low, i.e. at or below the knees, that is a illegal chop block. All right, so right there in the center of the screen is what we're going to be focusing on here. You can kind of see, yeah, it's kind of right in this area right here. Let's try to kind of, all snapped. So you got one guy, you already kind of got one guy coming up, and then you've got another guy that comes in low right there. Get to it, okay? Who's going to get that call? This one's a little easier to see. This is kind of one. So he kind of not only does he kind of block him a little, he kind of holds his foot too.
Yeah.
It's the center and the left guard. Blocks. About the worst shot block you could ever see.
That's a difficult.
That's the one where a referee might have to kind of step in and get that one too.
Right.
Okay. Now, if the referee sees it, you get that as a safety issue.
Yeah.
All right.
Where's Danny?
Yeah. This one into that line of scrimmage here. So you got the right tackle that's in the tight end there. Yeah, there's a theme with some of these videos and these blocks on some of these teams.
My homeboy's out there.
Yeah.
No,
No, we don't have film. So even though this block is away from the play, I mean, it's on the other side of the field, we still got to call that because it's a safety issue. So that's got to be called. And who's going to call that? Who's going to get that block? Who else? So the wing official looking down that line needs to help out with that. So for your wing officials, when you read run, then you need to make sure that at the end of the line of scrimmage, those blocks are legal.
You may not have gotten anybody wasn't going out.
All right, here's another one. So we're kind of focusing on the center and the right guard, right tackle area. Kind of a whiff. So it's not the most impressive thing in the world, but he makes contact. So you got the guard, so right here, so the guard's up top, and you got that little guy diving down in there. Yeah. And I know it's not the most impressive thing in the world, but we need to call that to stop it. Because it may not be impressive this time. If he does it again, because he thinks it's okay, and he gets it the second time really well on that knee, now you have an injury. And remember, these shot blocks, these little blocks from the waist, is a safety issue.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure we get these safety fouls. All right. And we're kind of looking in that right guard, or sorry, left guard center area again. All right, so here's another angle of this. Look at what the initial contact is for this block. So remember, what is considered to be low for a chop block?
Below the
Below the knee. Below the knee. So if he gets him above the knees, below the waist, could that be legal?
Yeah.
So it's going to be these two guys right here on this guy right here. Yeah. So you have the ball is in the zone. You got both offense and defense are on the line of scrimmage. You've got, so they're able to legally block below the waist. Contacts at the waist. There's two of them, but there's nothing below the knee. That's a legal combination block. Any questions about chop blocks and illegal blocking before we get into personal contact? No? All right, so our favorite, the new one from a couple years ago is blindside block. So this is a block against an opponent who does not see the blocker approaching. It's outside the free blocking zone. Forceful contact not initiated with open hands. So if you have open hands, it does not matter how hard you block them. It's going to be legal. But if it's not forceful, so what we're trying to eliminate here is the shoulder. Is the guy that comes up, we've seen it, and drive that shoulder into that player. That is what we're trying to eliminate.
They might be young, but they are long and lean and athletic.
That's what we're eliminating on here. Is that shoulder into the chest. Oh, we'll go back to that. Okay. We can go back.
They might be young, but they are long and lean and
That block with number 6 white, that's what we're trying to eliminate in high school. Now, if he uses if he's going in with his hands first, that's fine. If you go in with the shoulder, that's what we have to eliminate. Now, does that player, that defensive player, does he have to go out for a play? No, because the penalty, the illegal block will cause his helmet to come off. So he's able to stay.
Unless he's carried off the field.
Yeah. All right. Good old Blackwood interview game here from these. So we're going to ignore the first flag. That's not a blocking back. Based on what we talked about earlier. So, are those PSK fouls? No. That second block. What discussion do you need to have as a crew on that second block? Is that an injectable? Is that an injectable offense?
He lined him up. He lined him up.
If you see him with that head, and that's because of how the game's been going, there's been other stuff, and there's a lot of that goes into that. But you need to be aware of that. And he lines him up for a good 15 yards. Needs to be in the back. It needs to be in discussion. Yeah. And that maybe the umpire, maybe on the backside guy, maybe the referee. If you see the guy come across the field like that, you need to have the discussion. Yeah.
Well, I think in situations like that, all of us have to do our job and help each other out.
Hold on, guys.
Yeah.
Because I think you have to see the whole play.
See the whole play, and then you got to take account the game and a lot of things. But it needs to be in the back of your mind. So, all right. So let's talk about that guy down here. So, why does the first block, illegal block, get missed?
He's busy doing something else.
Yes. He's looking over here, and he misses that right there in front of him. So he tries to call a block in the back. There's not a block in the back, far away from the play, from where he's at. And he misses an illegal block right in front of him because he did not have his head in the right spot. He's focused on back here, and he's still looking over here. He missed all of this right here. Chris. Hold on, guys. Hey, keep it down.
So based off the third, you said ejection on second blocking option. Looking at the video, how when he hit him, his reaction after he hit him, as far as the crew coming together, make sure
you need to have a discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, needs to.
Not
It has to be. I'm not saying ejecting for this, but it needs to be a discussion that everybody knows what's going on. Okay. All right. So that's what I'm saying. So you need to have that in your mind that you need to have that discussion.
Once someone receives the ball, no PSK fouls.
It is a tough one on the offense because the defender does not have his head turned, but does the defender see him coming?
That's a good one.
And that's he does not. It's from the blind side. I know it's from the front. I know he hits him in the chest. He doesn't use it, but he doesn't use it. He can block like that, but instead of using his shoulder, use your hands. Use your hands. He's using his shoulder and not his hands. Yeah, I mean, it's, I know none of us like this. None of us like this because we all think that's a good block. But the way the rule is, the way the rule is written, that is an illegal block.
Same as a or it's a blind side.
The second one. Is this a live ball or a dead ball foul?
Yeah.
The second one. Yeah, so watch. Go past the first one, and when it changes camera views, then look downfield. So we talk about that one. So, but they're going to change camera views, and we'll look about the 40-yard line, I think it is. So, look downfield.
Right downfield. Right.
There. Is that a live ball or dead ball? Why is this important that we know? There's major penalty enforcement implications. Major penalty enforcement. So if we rule it a dead ball foul, how many fouls are we going to enforce against the offense? If we rule it a live ball foul, then how many fouls are we going to enforce? It was a dead ball. Yep.
What's the 1-2 clinics this spring? One of the most interesting things I took away from it was the NFL side judge. She watches receivers all day long, and while it's laughable, look, they said receivers do not make their money running back from football. It's fast through the video.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that we learn what the rule is associated with what these blocks are, because we need to be consistent, not only here in District 5, but around the state, making that go out.
So by rule, George, by rule, in high school, this would be an illegal block. And we're so ingrained to if they hit him in the front, it's okay. No, it's not okay with this blindside block. It's just not okay. But when is the blindside block allowed? In the free blocking zone. And he uses his hands. So if it's in the free blocking zone, it's allowed, correct? Oh. Watch this. And this is one of those teams with really tight splits. So this might be one of those teams where
Okay.
it's in the free blocking zone.
Yeah.
The block is in the free blocking zone. There are no other requirements other than the block is in the free blocking zone. And what's the other thing that would make a blindside block legal? It's open hands. Or not coming from the blind side. So right there, the 40. See it? Right here. Right there in front of him. You got it up in the block. I ran into it. That would be legal. But I actually got called a blindside block last year.
It did get called?
It did get called. Okay. And then contact initiated with open hands. White glove, which helps us out. You see his hands? You see the difference in his hands and the ones that use the shoulders? His hands fly open. If you lean into somebody with your shoulder, your hands don't go like this. So his hands were open. He used his hands for the contact to initiate, and that made it legal. So watch their hands.
DPS was on the field. He's out of South Carolina. DPS.
This isn't from South Carolina. He's not from South Carolina. watch, so he lines them up. He goes to one side, but he uses those hands, and his hands fly open. That would be legal. So watch his hands. So, when I say you see the entire block, that includes the follow through of the block. And if you see his hands fly open, he uses his hands. You can't physically cannot initiate with a shoulder and then fly your hands open. It doesn't work.
Yeah, quick question, just for clarification. You were saying if the guy comes from the front, it can't be a blindside block.
So if he's in this other one, what I'm saying is,
I thought it was just
the blocker was in front of him.
He saw it coming.
Like literally in front of him.
Well, they'd have to see it coming, though, regardless.
So like this guy right here.
By definition, it says if he does not see the blocker coming, doesn't matter what angle. If he's looking at it,
I mean, but if he can't see that guy right there, we can't completely absolve the defense.
that guy's running straight and he's looking up. Somebody came and tagged him. Obviously, it doesn't matter if it's right side or whatever.
But I mean, we can't completely absolve the blockee from being aware. And on this one right here, the guy is standing in front of him. He didn't come from the side.
Right. I'm not saying that.
Yeah. So if he's standing in front of him and the guy's looking up for whatever reason, completely clueless, at some point he's got to has a little bit of football awareness. We can't bail them out every single time.
We talk about that guy where it stopped right here.
Yeah.
That guy is running down and he's looking up.
Yeah.
Just if somebody came and blocked him, that's not necessarily defensive. I wouldn't think.
Yeah. I mean, if a guy was standing right here, blocks him, he's running like this. I can't protect this kid.
Exactly.
Being stupid.
Exactly.
You need to, that's key, is the receiver.
Yeah.
I look for the ball.
Yeah. All right. So I think the last section we'll cover today is defensive player. All right. So by definition, a defensive player is a player vulnerable to injury because of their physical position and focus of concentration. Okay. Player initiating contact against a defensive player is responsible for making legal contact. So the responsibility is the player making contact. And when in question, based on the rule book, is defenseless. And why is it in question the player's defenseless? Safety issues.
Yep.
Examples, the passer. So when is the passer a passer? When he throws illegal for a pass. So if he intentionally he throws an intentional grounding, is he considered defenseless?
He's a runner.
No, he's not. Because he has not thrown a legal for a pass.
That's right.
A receiver attempting to catch a passer who's not had time to clearly become a runner. Okay? An intended pass receiver in the action during and immediately following an interception or potential interception. So that's a lot of words, basically, we've all seen it, where the pass is overthrown, it gets picked off, and then the receiver gets absolutely wiped out. Yes, that's what they're talking about here. A runner already in the grasp of a tackler and forward progress is stopped. You're not allowed, he's defenseless, he cannot protect himself if somebody else comes in and hits him. A player on the ground, including a runner who's obviously giving themselves up and sliding feet first. So if they go to slide, they're considered defenseless. Now, you cannot slide at the very last second in somebody's legs, basically. If I see Sam coming to me, and he's like a yard away, he's already going to hit me, and I decide to slide underneath him, you can't protect that. We can't reward that, okay? He's got to slide early. If I see Sam coming at me, I need to slide early. And then it's on Sam to avoid me. But if it's, you Sam a little juice, a little spin move, and then you get it. A kickoff or a punt returner attempting to catch or recover a kick. So if I'm looking up and I'm a punt returner, I'm pretty defenseless. Okay. A kickoff or punt returner who's completed a catch recovery has not had time to protect themselves or establish themselves clearly as a runner. So basically, I may have caught it, and you still, even though I just caught it, you still can't just come in and wipe me out if I hadn't had a chance to protect myself yet. Now, I'm not saying that all of these are fouls if you contact them. That's not what this rule is saying. It's just that if it's contact, it needs to be legal and appropriate, and that we need to be aware that these players are defenseless. So you can still contact them, but we need to take into account the contact and their status as defenseless. Player obviously out of the play, not in immediate vicinity of the runner. There's obviously some gray area there, but we've all seen it where, you know, you got 30 yards behind the play, somebody comes in and hits somebody. Okay. And then a player who receives a blindside block or force of contact, not necessarily with those hands. The one example that I add that's actually not listed is the kicker. Who is more vulnerable than a kicker with his leg up in there? They don't have it. It's not a rule, but I would consider that. I consider him to be defenseless. Again, it's not saying that you can't contact him, but when there's contact, I need to have in the back of my mind, okay, he's the kicker. So was it excessive or not? And that's the question.
Until you add snapper to that. He's got his head between his legs.
Yeah, snapper would be another good example of a player because of his position. His head is down. He's looking down. His back, his neck is completely exposed. And he would be another example. And we're not saying that if you contact these guys as a foul, but if you contact them, we need to be aware of what their status is. Make sure that the contact is appropriate and not excessive. So he's a passer. Okay, he's played through the league before a pass. And how many steps did that guy take before he hit him? Several.
Oh, yeah.
So that's roughing the passer. Okay. And now we'll get into the penalty enforcement later, but that's roughing the passer. So, but I like that video because it doesn't have to be. It's not the quarterback. It's the passer. Yeah, we'll come back to this one in Rule 10 too, but for now, you got an interception. He's kind of standing around. That is all sorts of help.
City flags. Step out of bounds too. Should have been a touchback.
So from a mechanic standpoint on this play, the back judge, he starts going upfield really fast, and he lets players get kind of even or behind him. And we cannot. What's the one thing that we have to do is keep all 22 boxed in. And so he's running up there. So they're almost even now. He's almost even with this guy. And when the contact's made, he's actually past him. So he is down here. So these three guys, nobody has visualization on them. And we have to make sure that we keep all 22. And so on a punt, as a referee, honestly, I don't move that much. Because I know I've got some, slow guys kind of going up the field. So I keep a big visualization on the field. And when we have an interception on our back judges, I think that we got to make sure that we keep a big visualization of the field on this stuff and keep all the 22 players in the field of view. All right, this is the end of the game. Chunks it downfield. Sips is the ball. They intercepted. End of the game. We're celebrating. What's tackling? Hey, what is that guy? Where's that guy? These two guys. Now, I'm going to play this again, and y'all watch who and see who this player is. So he's way down here. There he comes. Here he comes. Man.
It is the quarterback.
That's quarterback. Quarterback. So the game is over. The ball is dead. You've got a couple guys standing around the pile, not really paying much attention because the game's over with. You've got a guy that comes in and just clears it out. Okay, this is if this was during the game, what would we call it? Dead ball, personal fouls, right?
Would you have rejected him during the game?
Yeah, is that flag?
No. I don't think I would.
2 guys in 3 seconds.
Again, this depends upon what happened in the game. Why did this happen? And I think it would be worth a email or phone call to Charlie. Hey, by the way, this happened. If you hear something, this is what we did. This is what we saw. We still have authority of the game. There's no foul that we can enforce on this,
Right.
but we still have authority of the game until we leave, correct? Yeah, we have it. So I think we need to be aware of that. And I don't know if you eject. I don't think you eject him, but I do think a phone call to Charlie on Monday going, hey, in my game Friday night, at the end of the game, we had this.
So if that happens in the first period, you wouldn't eject him?
I would eject him.
Fouling or flagging.
Yeah, I'm flagging.
Yeah, but if you feel it's, I mean, ejectable, you can still eject them after the game.
You can, yes. Yeah.
Let the league deal with it.
Yeah.
That's right.
If you wanted to, yeah.
Either way, the league's gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
They need to report it.
At a minimum, we got to report that because the league can go back and they can suspend him if they wanted to. I mean, yeah,
But it takes you off the hook if you call it, and then they overturn it.
right. But I think at the end of the game, I think if we call the league and say, hey, we're turning this in.
I mean, the kid was still laying down after, when everybody ran on the field.
Yeah.
He was still laying.
Yeah. So,
This happens during the game too, somebody needs to be recording those players who's off the side.
It's not a criteria though, Rick,
Of what?
that he's laying down there.
I didn't say that.
Okay. It depends on what happened before.
Because if you don't say anything to Charlie will say, hey, he's still laying there.
I agree.
Report it.
yeah. So I think that's something that, again, we can't just, game's over with, we take off and run off. We need to make sure that we keep all authority over the game until we leave the field. All right, a couple more and we'll be done.
Again,
They have a foul, they have a fight and a handshake going. You should be in your car.
So this is an option team. This is an option team. And so there's a gray area here. And yeah, he kind of, but not really. He's not really running. And that guy's not looking anywhere else but that quarterback back. And in the same game, this happens. Same guy, same game. So you have to be aware of this, okay? And again, is he considered to be defenseless or not? But you have to be aware of this, and depending on the game, if you're going to call that, you need to call it early, so that way they know it's not good. But I would have probably on the first one, whenever the first one said, hey, I'll tell them, hey, we're not having that tonight. Don't have that tonight, okay? And then if he does it again, I think you got to flag that. Because if you don't flag it, and you let it keep going, and it keeps building, and it keeps building, and it keeps building, it's gonna get out of control at some point. And that quarterback's going to get up and start swinging at somebody.
And
And then you can't do it. So
It was the same guy that tackled.
same guy, same guy.
So he's obviously been coached.
He's coached to go straight to the quarterback. That's what he was coached to do. Go straight to the quarterback. And he's not wrapping him up. He is driving into his back and driving him to the ground. And so I think to prevent escalation, I think, calling that after a warning would be appropriate.
You see, he's watching the ball.
He knows.
He's looking at the ball.
Yeah. And what we don't have is a clip of the quarterback keeping it and running. And I can guarantee you there's a difference in the way he runs, the way his body language is when he's running with the football as opposed to standing there if he holds it off. And the defense knows that. Those kids, they know. They know. But he was coached, he was told by his quarterback, every single play, you go hit him. Every single play, you go hit him. And we have to make sure that's legal. Any questions about Rule 9? So when we pick back up, okay, hold on. When we pick back up, we're going to pick back up with horse collars, so you know.
Want to get your feedback.
Sam's got a comment.
Want to get your feedback and maybe the group's feedback about it. We're still talking about illegal block. The block where we see the runner stiff arm or what we call it, straight arm.
Right.
Yeah. And he hits the defender in the face. I never see that call. That appears to me to be an illegal block. I want to get your feedback, group feedback. Is that an illegal block?
No.
He's straight arms in the face.
Is he a runner?
He's a runner.
He's a runner.
He's the runner?
It doesn't allow for the runner to do the block on that.
I mean, you could say it's illegal use of hand. You could say it's illegal use of hand. But if he grabs a face mask, obviously he grabs the face mask.
Well, not, yeah.
But if he takes his hand and he pushes up into the guy's helmet,
I'm saying that better be obvious. It better be real obvious.
We never
call it.
Better be a point.
One I want to just get us to think about, there's no block in the book that allows for anybody to block above the head. Unless there's somebody shuffling ring squats and ducks like that.
And it's 15, not 10. You get above the head. My definition.
Hold on.
Rule 9.
An offensive player except the runner shall not use his block.
What page you on?
69, the very bottom.
Can't grab the face mask.
No, you can't grab it, but you can push it away, right?
You can ward off the tackle.
Oh, what's that saying? 9-2?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in there that really says you can't do that. It's questionable. I mean, I think eventually we'll get to that point. Yeah, I think he's okay.
Well, would you read it there, Garrett?
So rule 9.2.2. So an offensive player, except the runner, shall not use a blocking technique which is not permissible by rule. Grasp or encircle any teammate to form interlock blocking. Use his hands, arms, or legs to hook, block, clamp, grasp, encircle, or hold in an effort to restrain an opponent. The runner may not grasp a teammate, and then the rest of that's all defensive stuff. So
That doesn't address it.
Why doesn't he grab that face?
he doesn't grab the face mask. Because we talked about illegal personal contact, you can't grasp the face mask, but
You push them away.
I think so.
yeah.
Unless you're in the post.
Yeah, there's nothing there. All right, guys, so next Monday, we'll pick it back up with a horse collar, and then we'll get into all the enforcement lights and all that other stuff.